What's up, guys? What you're about to watch is a clip from a live stream that I did over the weekend where I touched on Ethan Klein and the whole fiasco with all of his lawsuits, specifically the iDubbbz one. However, that rant took place before the recent developments where Ethan Klein actually dropped the lawsuit on iDubbbz. So some of the commentary may be outdated, and I wanted to fill you in with this disclaimer and say that I don't actually think Ethan Klein dropped the lawsuit because of iDubbbz's apology. I think he did it because bigger commentary YouTubers finally threw their hat in the ring and chastised him, told him he was wrong, and he opportunistically utilized the iDubbbz apology as a way out. This year iDubbbz apology video isn't even the first time Ian apologized. So if it was truly about receiving a sincere apology and not the fact that larger content creators started dogpiling Ethan would have dropped the lawsuit after Ian apologized the first time. But that's not what happened. Regardless, in the clip you're about to watch, I go over his behavior over the past few years, specifically his lawsuits, some of which are targeting friends of mine, and I just give you my off-the-cuff opinion. And if you give a shit about that, then enjoy the video. What's the vibe check in here? Are we talking about the Ethan Klein stuff? Do we have to talk about the Ethan Klein stuff? Do you want me to? I feel like you guys know what I think about that guy. He's a fucking moron. Briefly, yes, talk. All right, so for those who may have been checked out when it comes to the whole Ethan Klein suing everybody, the litigious bullshit, I gotta take this stuff out of the background. He's now suing iDubbbz because iDubbbz placed a message that Destiny originally wrote on his stream as a watermark, pointed to it and said, "I don't agree with this. This is fucked up, but Ethan should address this or somebody should address this." And it's very obvious that iDubbbz did this not because he agreed with what Destiny said, but because he was trying to point out how Ethan Klein is a hypocrite. He was trying to point out how Ethan Klein will try and sue people, bully people through the legal system and his millions of dollars for criticizing him or for doing relatively benign shit compared to what Destiny said. But then when Destiny, a guy who Ethan is scared of, a guy whose best friend is one of Ethan Klein's remaining sponsors for his dying podcast, then Ethan refuses to actually litigate against an actually defamatory statement like the one that Destiny made. The one that Destiny made, for those who are unaware, was really repulsive. It was essentially stating that Ethan Klein abuses his children. Let's just put it that way, which is not true. I have no reason to believe that that's true. I really do not think it's true. But it's just a disgusting thing that Destiny said to get under his skin, and iDubbbz pointed that message out specifically to say, Ethan, you're suing everybody for any little thing. Why are you not suing this guy who said something fucking crazy about you? Anyway, this kicked off this huge, I guess, I don't want to call it a debate, but a conversation that was sparked, now including YouTube commentators. So Moist Critical made a video about this situation, and he essentially came to the conclusion that Ethan Klein should not be suing iDubbbz for highlighting something that Destiny said. That's what Charlie, I almost called him Charlie Kirk. That's what Charlie said. But the thing with Charlie is you could tell he was kind of walking on eggshells about it. Like, I've seen him be harsher when it comes to other people, and the excuse that Charlie gave to excuse his demeanor when talking about the situation was that he's not very online anymore and he doesn't really know a lot about the situation. Okay, fine. I'm not going to say he's a liar. I'm just going to say, okay, whatever. If that is true, then why not spend another day or two researching what actually happened and trying to understand the situation holistically? Because in the first video that Charlie made, he didn't mention all of the other litigious bullshit that Ethan did. He didn't mention any of the other lawsuits, one of which, the Denims one, seems as though he's gearing up to lose. Like, there was a tentative ruling that the judge sided against him. So the Noah Samson one is clearly bullshit. Noah Samson made an opinion piece video, an opinion piece saying that he believes Ethan Klein holds water for a genocidal state, a state that Ethan Klein himself will say is committing a genocide, and then on the other hand, engage in the most right-wing Zionist narratives, like, for example, the one that he parroted that claims that during the 48 war, the reason Palestinians fled is because Arab leaders told them to.
It was the invading fucking Arab armies that told the Palestinians to leave and come back when the war was over.
That's a right-wing Israeli Zionist myth that even Benny Morris and Shlomo Ben-Ami, Israeli former foreign minister, Shlomo Ben-Ami, and Zionist historian Benny Morris both say that's not true. That's a right-wing Israeli myth, and Ethan uncritically parrots it. So, if you on one hand are calling what a state is doing genocide, and on the other hand, peddling right-wing narratives to defend said state, another one being, oh, there were more Jews displaced during the Nakba than Palestinians.
There was more Jews displaced than Palestinians during the Nakba.
Obviously, he's referring to the double Nakba myth. He even, in the debate he did with Hassan, pulled up Avi Shlaim's book to argue that there was this double Nakba, this mass expulsion of Jewish people from the MENA region.
Three Worlds. Have you read that book?
No, I have not read Three Worlds.
Okay, well, you're using a lot of source from it. Three Worlds, okay? He writes about his time in Iraq.
Memoirs of an
writes
Arab
about his
Jew.
time
It's the
in
newest
Israel.
book, I know.
He writes about his time in the UK. In Three Worlds, he writes about his own family, and he describes their departure from Iraq as traumatic, disorienting, and not voluntary.
When on the 17th page of the book he pulled up to substantiate his claim, Avi Shlaim says the double Nakba narrative is a myth. It's propaganda of the victors. There was no double Exodus. There was no double Nakba. That's what the book that he says substantiates his point of view actually says on the 16th and 17th pages. So he's obviously incapable of actually looking into anything that he's talking about. He's full of fucking shit, but I digress. I'm on a bit of a tangent now. My point here is Charlie, he was very kitty glovey. He was wearing the kitty gloves with Ethan. And the only thing that I can assume is that he's worried of the backlash he might get because his audience is kind of like that centrist, maybe center-libby stuff. I know he's criticized Trump and he's criticized, I think, even Israel in the past. So he's definitely leans left. He has maybe liberal proclivities, like socially liberal proclivities, we could say. But I just think it's irresponsible if you don't talk about this whole situation with Ethan Klein, who is currently eroding the principle of free speech on these platforms, the ability to criticize larger creators or anyone really. He is eroding that principle because he's a litigious piece of shit. He even admitted when it came to the Destiny thing that one of the reasons he's going after iDubbbz and not Destiny is because iDubbbz is in Canada and therefore they don't have strong slap protections, implying that if he was to bring this case in an American court, it would be shot down because of the slap protections, implying that it's a slap suit. So, I don't know. I'm not accusing Charlie of like knowing all of this information and purposefully withholding it. I just think it's irresponsible for him to not actually research this topic, not look into it before he made this video. He didn't mention Noah Samson. He didn't mention Frogan. He didn't mention Denims in the first one. He didn't mention Casey Tron in that weird like hostage letter that she had to do. Also, he didn't mention the many times that Ethan Klein has defamed people. Patrice Wilson, that's his name, right? There's a YouTuber, her name is Paige Christie. She has a good video on this, so go check her out. Shout out to her. But there is an individual, his name was Patrice Wilson. I'm pretty sure he's still alive. He was a music producer, and he worked with like burgeoning child artists or whatever. Ethan Klein racially berated this man, called him a pedophile, said that he wanted to do horrible things to these little girls, and he approached it at this disgusting racialized angle. He's like, oh, this large black man is preying on this little white girl. He wants some of that.
All right, who's there? I guess that's Mr. Wilson. Looking like the nice neighborhood pedophile. A little 8-year-old girl and a big, giant black man looking in on her, man. It's like Blackzilla. This guy's got a weird fantasy, dude. Blackzilla. A little 8-year-old white girl with blonde hair. He likes it. He likes him white and blonde.
Like, that's fucking crazy. And Patrice Wilson has said that this has had ramifications on his life. It really substantially impacted him, and he didn't do anything wrong. He's just an innocent guy, did nothing wrong. And Ethan Klein, the best of my knowledge, has not apologized to this or done anything to atone for it. It's another thing with Ethan. When he is caught back against the ropes and is forced to apologize for some shit, he does nothing to make amends or atone for the bullshit he's done. He just goes, sorry, and then he points to that apology to be like, why are you still criticizing me? I already apologized, guys. Do something about it, bitch. That's not atonement. In addition to what he said about Patrice Wilson, I don't know if anybody saw this, and I'm not the most online guy, so I'll catch things. Oh, there you go. Somebody just mentioned it in the chat. I was just going to bring that up. He said that Anissa, who is iDubbbz's wife, I believe, he said that Anissa dated a minor, which was not true. Anissa pointed out that this was not true, and then Ethan took it back. He apologized, and he took it back. Now, when Ethan originally sent a cease and desist to iDubbbz pertaining to iDubbbz's stream where he had the Destiny comment as a watermark, what iDubbbz did was he took it back. He apologized and took it back. He did the same thing Ethan did when he was called out for being wrong about the accusation he levied against Anissa. So iDubbbz did the exact same thing Ethan did, and Ethan is still following through with a defamation suit against him. Make that make sense. Square that circle. So Charlie, obviously, there's a lot of things that he didn't really know. I'm willing to give him some grace. Maybe he just is into other things. That's obviously what it is. He's just into other things, right? But at the same time, if you're going to touch on a topic that you have hitherto steered clear of, pay some fucking attention. Spend at least 2 days looking into it. It's been a 3-year-long saga at this point. God damn it, bro. The first thing he did was reach out to Harley Moronstein, and that was his dipping his toes into the arena of research, was reaching out to that fucking moron. I also don't think anybody called CPS or sent skulls. Okay. This is something that Charlie brought up in the video. The CPS and the skulls and all this. Ethan just points to this when he doesn't want to have to actually contend with his shitty behavior. He'll be like, look at what these people are doing. They're attacking my family. They're sending skulls to my house. They're calling CPS. He accused Denims of calling CPS. He said Denims did CPS at one point. And then he goes, oh, I never said Denims called CPS. There are clips of him saying it. The CPS and all of this, like Charlie kind of parroted that uncritically and said, guys, he had CPS called on his house. Brother, why did CPS get called? Is it because Ethan made it sound that his children were eating shit? Go listen to the fucking clip. The guy goes, we just got a dog and it has giardia. Giardia causes you to have diarrhea. Now all of my family has diarrhea. My children are rolling around on the floor and they're putting things in their mouth. Dan goes, how do I not get that from you? Ethan goes, the only way you can get giardia is if you ingest my poop. That's what he said. So let's put fucking 2 and 2 together here. What are the implications of that? Can you really blame someone for hearing that and saying, holy fuck, this guy's kids are eating shit? Self-reflect, you fucking idiot. Self-reflect a little bit. Say, wow, maybe I shouldn't have said all of those things on the stream that gave people the impression that I could be neglecting my children. Atone. Say, oh my God, yeah, I watched that stream back and yeah, I'm a bit of an idiot. I shouldn't have said that. It painted the wrong idea of what goes on in my household. Okay? So there are a lot of things that Ethan Klein could have just owned up to and been like, I kind of hold that L. But he didn't. And then Fantano threw his hat in the ring, who is a fucking Chad. Maybe I'm biased toward Fantano because, I mean, we were talking about, in this stream, we were talking earlier about how I was a musician before I started YouTube. And Fantano did actually review some of my music positively. So I'm biased. I like Fantano. He's bald. I might be bald one day. And he, he's a good looking bald dude. But he actually came out against Ethan Klein a lot harsher than Charlie. He said that he regrets ever platforming him. He really pointed out the fact that Ethan is a threat to the online space, to the content creation space. And, Charlie did too. Charlie, for the record, his final conclusion was that it's bad that Ethan's doing what he's doing, but he just kind of tiptoed around really going hard on it. And he just he babied Ethan. That's the issue. Fantano didn't. He said, fuck this guy. Take that L, hold that L, bozo, referring to the tentative Denims win, and I respect him for that. You make music? Yes. We were over this a little bit earlier in the stream, but yeah. Bring Fantano onto No Politic here. I think Chris is actually talking to him. Potentially he might come on. I don't want to say he is and then he doesn't come on. Isaac, I fuck with your music. Thank you, my friend. I'll get back into it one day, I guess. I just don't know when. The YouTube stuff, it really takes a long time, especially now with the streaming and the podcast. This was a long ass time ago, but here, you could see him talking about this song I made with Mick Jenkins, who's another artist that I've worked with, got a couple songs with. And that's me as a cartoon up there. That was the artwork. Someone drew that and they just used it as the artwork. And then he reacted to another song that I made with an artist named Sylvan LaQ, who's a really great artist. And then, yeah, way to Isaac's heart is to compliment his music. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't really care too much about it right now because it's just, I haven't made it in so many years that it's just not in the foreground of my mind really at all. Anyway, that will do for the Ethan Klein segment. I don't want to talk about that guy anymore. I actually hate talking about Ethan Klein. You know what I like to talk about Ethan Klein? The only times I like to talk about him is when he does Zionist propaganda, and then I can fact check him. That's what I like to talk about Ethan Klein. I don't care about this interpersonal stuff. I wish he wasn't suing my friends. I don't like that he's suing Ian. I don't like that he's suing Noah. I don't like that he's suing Denims. Not that me and Denims are tight friends or anything. I'm not trying to make myself sound too cool, but maybe one day we'll be friends.